gorgeous goddesses, and welcome to the free workshop on divine feminine and masculine energies. Now, before I dive in, I'm just going to give Facebook a few seconds to get everything up and running. I want to make sure that I can see down here. So I just have to wait for the video to load. Technology problems. There we go. And then, yeah, I'm so excited for this workshop, guys. It's something that I haven't really spoken about before, but it's something that I've really been delving into a lot lately, and really just teaching myself and trying to embody more of my feminine and masculine energies so that I can be more in balance with myself, with my path, with my journey. Before we start, a few little things. Make sure you have a pen and paper because I'm pretty sure you're going to want to take some notes. And then get yourself something to drink. I've got me some water here. Also, hubby has not got home yet, so the dogs might go crazy at some point during this live because they get super, super excited when anyone gets home. So please just ignore the crazy barking if it does happen. But yeah, what can you do? You can't really control dogs when they get excited to see you, but that's why we love them. Okay, just want to make sure I'm up and running with the comments. Let's see who is joining. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing feminine and masculine energies. I'm going to be going over a few topics. Firstly, obviously explaining exactly what feminine and masculine energies are. Also explaining why we are so disconnected with them in this day and age. And then why it is imperative that we have a balance in both and not too much or too little. Because when you have too much of anything, it's not good. It becomes toxic. So I'll be covering that as well. And then lastly, I'll be ending off with ways that you can actually work on embracing and embodying more of your masculine and your feminine energies. So we've got a info-packed, jam-packed session ahead. I hope you are all ready. I'm so super excited. I'm just going to see if I can see you guys' comments. So if you are here live and watching, drop a heart, drop any emoji. I just want to get validation of life. And then also, if I do not respond to your comments, like I've said in previous workshops, there seems to be some weird glitchy thing going on with Facebook Lives and groups. So if there's a question that I don't see and you really need an answer to, remember, I'm just a message away. I'm always here to help. I am here to help you guys on your journey to being more aligned, being more you, being more happy, more abundant, more fulfilled. So give me those comments. I'm not seeing anything on my phone, but I can see notifications coming up on my computer. So let me just actually see for a second before we start if there's a way I can see comments on the screen. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm not seeing any comments, but I can see you guys are there. So let's just dive into the workshop. I hope you guys can see me properly. Okay, so what exactly are the divine feminine, I'm starting off great, feminine and masculine energies? So this is not to be confused with male versus female. Divine feminine and masculine energies can be accessed by all of us. And part of our spiritual path is actually getting them into a state of balance. Now, like I said, these traits are not associated with gender. The set of traits we've come to define as feminine, yes, I got it right, stem from the expectations we used to place on women throughout history to behave a certain way. Likewise, the traits associated with being masculine, wow, I cannot talk, are traits we use to expect from men. But in this day and age, we know people of all genders that can have any combination of any of these traits, and no traits are actually inherent to any gender or should be expected of any gender. That being said, the words feminine and masculine are just a helpful way to describe the two different and opposing ways of being. I really wish I could see your comments. Okay, let's dive into the divine feminine. Now it's time to get a little bit woo-woo, because I believe that the feminine energy embodies everything that is woo-woo. The divine feminine lives within you, within me, within all of us. For the past few thousand years, she has been repressed, cast into the shadows, and left without a safe place to fully express herself and her gifts. But she is on the rise. She is slowly waking up and returning to us all. Women and men around the world are hearing her call. Now, the divine feminine is an energy, which means that she can't be seen or heard, but she can be felt. She is the feminine that exists in all living beings on earth, including the ocean, the moon, and the trees. She's also sometimes known as yin energy, Shakti, Kali, or Gaia. And in her truest form, in her truest nature, she is nurturing, that motherly energy and that pure affection, beauty, sensuality, and attraction, creativity and inspiration in its purest form. Peace and harmony, abundance, and the knowing that the earth will always provide enough, intuitive and fully open to receive, empowered within, honored and respected, and she is divinely connected to Mother Earth. Now, feminine energy refers to a specific set of traits considered to be the opposite of the traits associated with masculine energy, obviously. Now, your feminine side gets expressed when you move with the flow of life, embrace your creative energy, dance, play, and attune to your internal processes. So some of the qualities of the divine feminine include intuition, being heart-centered, being compassionate, being wise, being accepting, forgiving, collaborative, reflective, creative, sensual, kind, and gentle. So all of those kind of traits you would expect to see in like a motherly person. And also Mother Nature, think about it. She is kind, gentle, giving, nurturing, accepting, forgiving, all the shit that we put her through. So that is the feminine energy, and what it pretty much embodies and is. Now let's dive into the divine masculine energy. So the divine masculine energy is very action-based. It's focused on doing rather than being. Where the divine feminine represents universal motherhood, the divine masculine is like a universal fatherhood energy. Okay, it's all about things like structure, logic, and taking charge. Divine masculine energy embodies the traits such as assertiveness, confidence, speaking up for yourself, and sometimes even fighting the good fight. Where divine feminine energy can be more passive and willing to compromise, the masculine is more structured and is great for setting boundaries. So this plays into the idea of strength. Divine masculine energy is deeply connected to the warrior within us all. It is the strength that we find in all situations, and this is not just physical strength, but it's also your emotional strength. So you can see why we need a balance of masculine and feminine. Now, where divine feminine energy can be very internal and reflective, divine masculine energy relishes in doing things out in the real world, like having adventures, making change, saying what's on your mind, and taking risks. It's also an energy that's often associated with things like logic and critical thinking. Now, your masculine side gets expressed when you're working towards a goal, making progress, getting things done, and pushing forward. So you can see this is all of the like doing kind of energy. Now, some qualities or keywords of the divine masculine to explain a little bit more are things like risk-taking, assertiveness, action-orientated, disciplined, having boundaries, confidence, objectivity, logic and analysis, warrior, yang, that yang of your yin, and survival. Okay, now I want to discuss why we need both. But before I jump into that, guys, I just want to Okay, I can see comments now. Sorry, that was my bad. I actually was being retarded. Okay, so I can say, what's up, Shante? Hey, it's Eraser. Hello, Natalie. Hey, Shanae, my babes. Okay, I'm excited now. I can see your comments. And guys, also, please comment. I hate feeling like I'm speaking to myself. It's so nice when you guys interact and engage with me and ask me questions. It just makes me feel like I actually am with you guys in a room. So drop comments, drop questions. I can see them now, so you don't have to worry about me not missing them. And then if anything stands out to you, if anything really resonates with you, put in the comments. I love to get feedback from you guys all the time. Okay. Now let's discuss why we need both the feminine and the masculine side of energies and for them to be in balance. So it's basically like yin and yang. You can't have a complete circle without both sides. So for people of all genders, both feminine and masculine energy are necessary to embody in order for you to feel like a complete person. But this is where the balancing act comes into play, because too much feminine energy can lead to things like indecisiveness and not enough action, whereas too much masculinity can lead to a domineering nature and even war, as we've seen in this patriarchal world. And just like anything in life, too much of anything can become a bad thing. And this is where the feminine and masculine energies can go from divine to toxic. Now, I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into the symptoms and signs of embodying too much feminine energy and too much masculine energy, respectively. So let's start with femininity. Toxic femininity, okay? I like to compare this to how we were as young girls. Now, imagine yourself back, I just have flashbacks to primary school. I don't know why, maybe I was a little bit more bitchy back in those days, but think about when you were a lot younger as a female and you were put in a confrontational situation, whether it was with a teacher, with a parent, with a friend, where you felt attacked or undervalued or just not getting good emotions from a vibe of a situation. So I like to compare toxic femininity to how you would react in a situation like this. So think about these kind of emotions: being selfish, being sabotaging, being manipulative, being jealous, isolated, insecure, withholding, impatient, feeling like a victim, feeling like you putting the blame on others, feeling like you're in a state of despair, and also when your compassion turns into codependence. So these are all signs and symptoms of when you are falling into the toxic realm of femininity. Okay, I want to know if any of you resonate with any of those things and feel like you might be a little bit in the toxic version of femininity. If that is so, give me a pink heart. Yeah. Now, just like I compared toxic femininity to a young girl in a bad situation, the same applies for toxic masculinity. So imagine a fight between two like hard-headed ego males, whether they're youngsters or older, because men never grow up, let's be honest. And then I'm sure you can just imagine what the traits of toxic masculinity are. Wow. Tongue twisters all day long here. Okay, so when you fall into toxic masculinity, you can start to feel weak, immature, self-loathing, aggressive, intimidated, boastful, reckless, controlling, indecisive, even cowardice. And you might actually turn to like trying to be more dominant in situations. Okay, so you can see that it's important to have a balance in both. It is also important that we keep them in check to avoid falling into these negative behaviors from being over or underbalanced in our divine energies. Don't worry, Kayla, you can always go back and watch after this, sorry. Someone phoned her and she got interrupted. Okay, now a big question I'm sure you may be wondering is, why are so many of us out of touch with our divine energies? Okay, this is the $1 million question, and here is the $1 million answer. Now, the divine feminine is one half of us, and the divine masculine is the other half. Together, when they are balanced, they create a world of harmony and balance. But this is definitely not the world that we find ourselves in today, because the world has conditioned us to dim our light, to fall into the roles that are expected of us, to fit into the mold that patriarchy has brainwashed us to believe is the only way. Now, the divine masculine we see today is a toxic version of his true energy and light, sometimes known as the shadow side. And I'm sure you guys have all heard about shadow work and your shadow. It's basically self-explanatory. Your shadow side is a darker part of you that probably just needs a little bit of self-work and self-improvement. Okay, now this can be seen in the patriarchal systems and societies that run our world. The toxic masculine has become aggressive, controlling, abusive, and egotistical, and he's on a rampage for power and dominance. Does this ring any bells? I'm sure it does. Most of the world is literally being run by toxic masculinity. Okay. We can also see this in the way that women have been oppressed and violated, similarly to the way that our planet has basically been raped, okay? So we see this in war, conflicts, bombs that have plagued the people, just basically an attempt to make everyone either a winner or loser. We see this also in the way that our land, our ancient traditions and rituals, our connection and our freedom were stolen from our ancestors and replaced with capitalism, hierarchy, and modern religion. But in his truest, lightest form, the divine masculine has integrity. He is courageous. He's intellectual. He is grounded. He's non-judgmental. He's independent, and he is mindful. And he also matches her in her lightest, truest form. So, the feminine has also been forced to match his shadow with her own. She has become the victim, insecure, passive, inauthentic, codependent, and often manipulative. Now, if you want to see the ultimate shadow form of femininity, go and watch any movie, any series, any show that was set in the early 1900s and anything before. Okay, my personal favorite is Outlander. Give me a little red heart if you've watched it too. It's literally shows you exactly how toxic masculinity and toxic femininity were at their ripest during those times. So the good news is that times are changing, but if you want to get a good idea of these toxic forms, go and watch shows like this. So, for example, and what I learned from, especially from Outlander, is that women were never treated as equals to men. And it's still a problem today, but it is getting better. Back in the day, we were forced into arranged marriages. They burned women like me at the stake because we were looked at like witches. Okay, we were expected to be obedient and submissive. And education was pretty much only a standard for men. We also had to have a strict set of manners and etiquettes. And we also had to wear the most uncomfortable clothes ever, the corset. Okay, so the list goes on and on and on and on and on about how we were forced into our shadow form of femininity, the toxic. And in our culture today, even masculine energy, since it is often about progress and moving forward, tends to be valued a lot more than the feminine energy. And this is exactly why our feminine energies have been dimmed. Okay, now when we overvalue masculinity, we spend most of our time working and very little time resting, taking vacation, and just spontaneously connecting with others. Overvaluing masculinity also leads us to become dependent on man-made things such as our smartphones and our laptops, and we land up spending less time in nature and also on expressing our creative selves. And this is basically the sad truth that has become most of our younger generation today. Being overly masculine and under feminine leaves many of us longing for something else, something rejuvenating, something wild, something resourceful, something spontaneous, okay? And that is the feminine. Now, how do you go about embracing and embodying your feminine energies. So, deep down, we all feel an imbalance in our lives, but most of us don't know what that is or what the solution looks like. Now, we've been fed the belief that more equals better. Exhausting work hours and stress have literally become normalized, and we're stuck in our minds, disconnected from our bodies and our emotions. We're missing that connection to her, to the divine feminine. Now, the women's movement over the past 100 years has sought to address these imbalances, but much more education is needed to awaken us all to the chaos that we are creating and living in, to guide us back to our true nature as living beings on earth. And despite the resistance to change, she is still rising. She doesn't care if we are ready for her or if she'll be welcomed with open arms. She has been reflecting, learning, and growing in the shadows all of this time, and that strength is what we're beginning to feel as a collective. Okay, so the feminine is there. She is rising. I'm sure you guys have noticed, and I'm not talking about feminism and all these more extreme views on things, but the feminine is definitely starting to become more valued, more appreciated, even more just understood. Okay, so here are some practical ways to play with and embody your feminine energy. The first step is to reflect. Now, in order to overcome our female wounds, we really need to dive deeper into our internal feminine side and ask ourselves what our current beliefs about being a woman actually are and where they came from. We all have personal wounds about femininity, whether it comes from suppression, abuse, cultural or societal beliefs, which actually land up creating limiting beliefs around femininity. So I want you to journal about all the not so good beliefs that you have around the feminine. And this is your first step to stepping into more of your feminine energy, because the only way that we can move forward and grow is to let go of old limiting beliefs that no longer support the person that we are striving to become. So reflect, figure out what wounds you have, what you think being feminine is supposed to be and where these beliefs come from, because then you can start to pick up where your limiting beliefs are, where your misconceptions are, where your conditioning is coming from. Okay. Number 2, commit to self-love and acceptance. So if we haven't learned to fully love ourselves yet, then how are we supposed to show anyone around us true love and compassion if we can't even show it to ourselves? Genuine love and compassion for all beings, including ourselves, is one of the best ways to awaken the divine feminine within you. Now, remember, self-love is not a short journey, because there is no quick fix when it comes to rewriting years of self-judgment, self-criticism, and our childhood wounds, okay? But if you commit to showing yourself love and acceptance every day, you will get there, I promise. Small steps every day lead up to big results, okay? So begin small. Do stuff like look in the mirror and say something kind and loving to yourself. Maybe create space in each day to practice some kind of self-care. Also, do the deep inner work. Meet your shadows. Confront the negative thoughts you're holding on to. And start to replace them with ones that serve and empower you. Yes, easier said than done, but I promise you practice makes perfect. Also, start to surround yourself with people who are also committed to self-love and self-acceptance. People who inspire you and lift you up. You cannot give love or compassion from an empty cup. So you have to make sure that you are filling yours up each and every single day. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen, but I am doing my 21-day self-love program one more time. We start the 1st of June. And this program gives you all the content and the tools that you need to up your self-love game. So what I can do is I'll just post the link in this group a bit later if you guys want to go and read a bit more about it. But it really is just an amazing way to work on your self-love, your self-acceptance, and also just letting go of all of those things that are holding you back from stepping into your highest version, from believing in yourself and having the confidence you need to be your ultimate version of you. Okay, so I'll post that just now. Okay, number 3 is, if you want to awaken the divine feminine, you need to connect with your body. Okay, now our bodies are constantly scrutinized and critiqued by outside eyes, and most of us begin to take on that pressure and judge our own bodies for not looking a certain way. We begin to see our body as no more than a physical object. So many of us, particularly women, have been purposely disconnected from our bodies over the past few thousand years via conditioning, in an attempt to tame and control us and disconnect us from our power. On top of that, many of us hold huge amounts of stress, trauma, and abuse in our bodies from this lifetime, as well as past ones that we're not fully aware of. I did a post about this morning. Generational trauma, it's a real thing. There's so much research going on right now about how trauma can be passed down through your DNA. So even if you haven't had hectic experiences, there could be something in your lineage that has been carried down through your DNA. Mind blown, I know it's crazy, but it is a true science, and there's so much research. You can go and Google it later if that interests you. Okay, so we need to put in some deep inner work to release and clear away the stuck energy from our bodies, so that we can reconnect with them and feel comfortable and at peace with them, okay? Because this makes space for the vibration of her to rise within us and show up fully. So how can we clear this energy and connect more to our bodies? You can try body healing therapies like breathwork and massage. You can practice more self-care. And you can do this by nourishing your body with plenty of water and healthy foods, and also just getting enough sleep at night. You can also start to move your body in ways that feel good to you, whether it's walking, running, swimming, or whatever else feels good to you. Practicing yoga can also be a wonderful way to be fully present and feel a body, mind, and spirit connection. This has been a game changer for me and my relationship with my body. Yoga is my everything. Okay, or you can just sit and scan your body. Slowly from your feet all the way up to your head. Just notice where there's more tension and see if you can breathe into that space and let that tension go. Okay. Number 4, get outside. Sorry, guys. Okay, get outside and be with Mama Nature. Okay, so as I mentioned already, our earth and all of nature is the work and creation of the feminine. The trees, the flowers, the wind, the rain, the soil beneath our feet. The more time you spend in nature, the more connected you will feel to her and her energy. Plus, it feels really good soaking up fresh air, moving your body, and giving your eyes a break from your computer or phone screen. So, if you have a garden, it can be a beautiful morning ritual to step outside first thing and plant your bare foot on the earth. You can take some breaths here, do a few stretches, and if you feel called to, just start to notice the elements around you. Also, if the sun is shining, feel the warmth wash over your skin. This is my new favorite morning routine. Every single morning when I get home from boxing or when I've finished my emails in my office, I will make myself a cup of tea, go outside and either sit in my hammock and feel the sun just warming my skin, warming me all the way. I feel like I'm getting recharged by the sun, and it's just been such a game changer because it really starts my day off on such a beautiful note. Okay, you can also do the same thing in the evening. You don't have to bathe in the sun, you can bathe in the moon. Just let the moonlight twinkle down on you, and you'll start to feel yourself becoming more in tune with the moon's natural rhythms, along with your own. We are so connected to the moon, I don't think you guys even realize. You can also bring nature in to your home more through indoor plants and flowers. This is my favorite thing. I don't know if you can see, I'm such a plant mom. I literally have plants everywhere. Okay. I want to know up until now if there's anything that's standing out to you guys. Please comment. Hey Rashni. Okay. Number 5, feel your feelings and feel them without judgment. Okay. So most of us repress our emotions, thinking that they'll either disappear if we avoid thinking about them, or they just won't exist if we don't think about them. But This only leads them to fester and swallow in the darkness until we address them, and also the root of why we are feeling that way. So give yourself permission to feel all your feelings without judgment, okay? Regularly check in with yourself and ask, how am I feeling right now? Try and assign a word to this feeling that you're feeling. Are you feeling happy, excited, down, confused, mellow, anxious? And then release all your judgment in this process, because there is no right or wrong feeling. There is no good or bad feelings. We all feel the same things at different times in different situations. So you can't feel bad about feeling sad, depressed, angry, because everyone feels sad, depressed, angry at some point in their life. Okay, so without judgment. Now, tuning into and making sense of our feelings helps us to understand ourselves better. And we also learn empathy and how to show compassion with others. This helps us to tap into our feminine energy that has been suppressed within, and it allows the feminine to flow freely through us again. So really just sit with your emotions, process them, try to dig to the roots of where they're coming from, and you will feel a lot more connected to your divine feminine energy. Okay, number 6, get comfortable speaking your truth. Because we've been hushed and made to feel inferior as women for so long, this is often hardwired into our brains without us knowing it. Think about it, okay? Boys learn from a young age that it's okay to be loud and aggressive, while girls learn that we need to be quiet and accommodating. Now, I, for one, have always struggled with speaking my truth and raising my voice. I think this was a result of many things. Firstly, being very shy and introverted at school. Also, having a very unhealthy relationship with my body and food for a long time. I always felt judged and avoided because apparently I have a really good resting bitch face. And I also had poor communication skills from my fears of speaking to people, especially in groups. And I've also always felt super worried about how people would react if I let the true Roxy shine. So those are a few of the reasons why I have struggled with speaking my truth, but everyone has their own reasons. Okay, but let's be honest. Most of us aren't actually taught how to communicate effectively. It doesn't make it onto the list of important things that we should have learned at school, even though it affects all of our encounters and relationships that we have in our lives with other people and ourselves. So let me ask you this. Do you know how to ask for what you need? Are you able to speak up for yourself, calmly yet firmly? And do you know how to set healthy boundaries in your life? Okay, these are just 3 questions that can really show you if you have good communication skills. Okay, so when we keep our mouths closed and bury our truth and our needs, we become disconnected from our power. This is because we are blocking the divine feminine wisdom that wants to just flow through us. So don't repress your emotions. Tune into what you need and want, and have the courage to show up authentically. It sounds easy, but trust me, try to catch yourself every time you're in a conversation with any person. I'm pretty sure you bend the truth or bend the way you are, or maybe change your tone of voice or tell stories a different way in front of certain people. This all boils down to not feeling free to be authentic. So just watch out for that, okay? When you really start to be authentic and speak just your inner truth all the time without hesitation, this is when you begin to give your inner wisdom a voice. So when you're connected to your divine feminine power, you will be comfortable with your feelings and your needs, and you will love and respect yourself enough to know that you deserve to be listened to and have your needs met. Okay. Hi, Shantae. Okay, guys, still no comments. Please give me some convo here. Okay, number 7 is to figure out who you really are on a soul level. People pleasing and wanting to fit in to avoid judgment are the main culprits for us living a half life and failing to actually figure out who we really are and what we really want from our lives. Now, there are so many things that we believe we have to do or should be doing, but have you ever stopped to actually just think about what your true calling is here on earth? As women, we often don't create time or space to even think about this. We're too busy taking care of everyone else in our lives, making sure they're happy and loved and thriving. But it's not selfish to turn your gaze inward and make sure that you are happy and thriving. It's not selfish at all. In fact, it is fucking vital. Excuse my language, but we've also been so conditioned to believe that we can't spend time on ourselves because it's selfish. But we need to be the best versions of ourselves in order to be the best versions for other people. So if we don't spend time on ourselves, we are not giving our best to other people. Okay, so when you start to spend a little bit more time on yourself, this is how you'll start to discover your soul's purpose. This is how you'll find the real you underneath all of the programming and inherited beliefs. And this is where the divine feminine can be found. So maybe you're in a job where that isn't really where your true passion lies, or maybe you're in a relationship that you've outgrown, or maybe you're just not giving yourself the time to explore the interests and hobbies that your soul is so desperate to experience. I want you to give yourself permission to say no to things that you no longer want, and yes to new things that you do want. Give yourself permission to play and travel and be, and see if anything in particular stirs your soul. Give yourself permission to be selfish sometimes and figure out who you really are. Selfish, okay? Because contrary to what you've been taught, you are not here just to be someone's wife, mother, friend, co-worker. You are your own person with your own gifts and your own path to pave here. Okay. Okay, I only saw your comment now, Shanae. I don't know which one you said you're guilty of with. I'm busy. I'm pretty sure it's... Sorry, girl. The comments are delayed, but I'm glad you resonate with one of them. Okay, number 8 is to honor and explore your sexuality. Okay, now our world has such a fucked up relationship with sex and sexuality right now. Female sexuality makes most people uncomfortable, women and men, because patriarchy has engineered it that way. Sex in general is seen as taboo. We learn this from the way that it is not openly spoken about, and how adults tend to clam up when we ask them questions about it as children. So we learn to feel shame around sex, our genitals, and our sexual desires. On top of that, sex has been ripped away from its sacred nature and repackaged and sold to men as a commodity to be purchased. We see that in the endless supply of porn, strip clubs, prostitutes, etc. So the female has started to feel like an object rather than the divine, powerful vessel that nurtures and creates life. So to access the full power of the divine feminine, you need to start exploring and embracing your sexuality. And here are some helpful questions that you can ask yourself today to start exploring this side. Number 1, am I confident asking for what I need sexually? Number 2, do I know what I like or want or need? Number 3, how do I feel about my body and all of its bits? Number 4 is, am I able to speak up and set boundaries around what I do and don't feel comfortable with in bed? And also, am I able to fully receive pleasure? When you really start to ask yourself these questions, you will start to realize how disconnected you actually are, firstly with your body and with your sexual energy and with everything else that revolves around sex. So just really start to ask yourself these questions. The answers to these questions will likely bring up feelings that you've buried or didn't even know existed in your subconscious. And discovering these feelings and attitudes and figuring out where they come from is how you can begin to nurture your sexuality back into a state of wholeness. Okay, so don't forget that side of you. Okay, number 9, slow down and just be. Our world is currently built on masculine energy, which encourages us, well done, Roxanne, to do more, be more, have more, okay? And this has led to a world that is just go, 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 rushing around all the time, believing that you always need to be busy doing something, being somewhere, just the rat race, basically. Okay, so in contrast, feminine energy is about being rather than doing. So it's about slowing down, being receptive and reflective, and just being present in the moment. And we could all do with slowing down a little more. And I think that lockdown has really taught us this valuable lesson. Okay, so how do you slow down? Maybe that looks like journaling or writing, or maybe just being more in nature. Maybe just switching off your phone when you get home from work and not checking it until the next day. Maybe it's just sitting around and doing 10 minutes of meditation in your day, or maybe it's just leaving work on time more often. And it might even be just as simple as having a tea break or taking a few deep breaths wherever you are right now, whenever you feel like you need to take a step back and relax. Okay, that's your feminine energy. So our brains are wired to do. So you'll probably find it hard to switch frequencies and allow yourself to just be. But your brain may try and convince you that you're wasting time or being lazy, but don't believe it. These are the moments where we come back to ourselves, where we allow ourselves to relax and connect with our divine feminine energy. Alrighty, number 10. Tap into and trust your intuition. Okay, now, as a woman, especially, intuition can become our sixth sense. It is a divine feminine gift that is more potent and present in women than men. Sorry, guys. It's the opposite of logic, which is obviously a masculine quality. And since we're in a society that values logic above all else, we have become really disconnected from our inner voice. We live in our heads rather than in our hearts, and this makes it super difficult for us to differentiate between fear and intuition. And some of us have also been led to mistrust our intuition or devalue it or not even believe in it because it's irrational and illogical. Okay, but tapping into and trusting your intuition will help you navigate your life with much more ease, grace, and confidence. You'll know just the right decisions to make without knowing how you know, okay? You'll just feel it in your body before your mind even has a chance to answer. Now, regardless of how tuned in you are to your intuition right now, there are some practices that you can follow to begin strengthening this little fabulous muscle that we have as women. Those things are things like meditation, practicing yoga, using tarot or oracle cards, my fave, journaling and connecting with your higher wisdom, even channeling your own divine guides if you're into that. I'm very woo-woo, so if this doesn't resonate, just ignore. And then also exploring your dreams and their symbolic meanings, because dreams really do hold deeper meaning most of the time. Not those weird, crazy ones that make no sense, but a lot of the times our dreams are our subconscious filtering through information from the day or from experiences, and they can really teach us something. Okay. Number 11 is to create rituals and sacred spaces in your life. Now, rituals and sacred ceremonies used to be a way of life for women in ancient times. There was a much greater sense of community amongst people, and women of all ages would regularly come together to converse, share, and celebrate, especially on new and full moons. Sacred ceremonies and rituals act as a bridge between the two worlds, the earthly world and the spirit world. So your fears and anxieties and shadows are able to be met and softened with compassion and the great power of a circle of women. Now, creating a ritual and sacred space in your life can be simple, just like lighting a candle before you meditate or practice yoga, or even just taking a bath. You don't have to create a circle of women and connecting. So a way that you can create a sacred space for you is to make a sacred altar for yourself. It might be huge, it might be tiny, and just fill it up with sacred objects that mean something to you. So I don't know if you can see mine in the background, but my little altar is covered in crystals, my singing bowl, my angel cards, my plants, obviously, and yeah, got my little Buddhas and a cute little saying. So that's like my little personal sacred space. And I also store all my incense in there, but I'm not going to show you my collection. It's embarrassing. No human should have that much incense. Okay, you can also celebrate the new moon with releasing an intention setting, or with the full moon by dancing and singing in the moonlight. You can also use the full moon guides that I post every full moon on my Instagram account. There's one coming tomorrow. Tomorrow is an amazing, amazing moon energy. It is a super blood full moon, so it's going to be very powerful. But I'll post my guide tomorrow. You guys can have a look through that and see if there's something you want to do under the full moon tomorrow. And then you can also attend a women's circle near you. I know now with COVID, not much is happening, but they are beautiful. Even if it's a yoga event or a cacao ceremony, whatever it is, it's such a beautiful thing to connect with like-minded women in a circle and just share stories, lift each other up. I'm actually busy putting together a magical retreat as we speak, but I will talk more about that closer to the time. It's still in the very early stages. Okay, now your ritual and sacred space will often evoke memories of previous lifetimes that your energetic body still remember. Now, you may be connecting to the wisdom and divine feminine spirit you actually felt when you were in the sacred circle with a community of women maybe tens of thousands of years ago. So your soul never truly forgets. And when you create a sacred space like this, it actually just helps you to remember. Okay, and then the last thing is to realize the wholeness that has always been inside of you. Now, as we know, the feminine has been suppressed for the past few thousand years, maybe even more. But although she has been pushed down and hidden, she has not been destroyed. She can never be destroyed. She is within you. She's within me. She's within every single being on this planet. The dominant masculine that resides within you and almost everyone else tries to pretend it is whole and complete on its own. But it can't be, because like I said at the beginning of this workshop, the divine feminine and masculine were created as two halves of a whole. So in order to be whole, we need both halves. Okay. And the beauty about this whole thing is that we already have the divine feminine and masculine within us. We just need to learn how to let them both flow. Okay. So this means that you're already whole. You already got everything you need within you. You just need to start expressing the suppressed parts of our wholeness. Now, regardless of what is going on around us, we have the power to embrace and express the divine feminine within us. We can act with compassion, promote peace, live in abundance, nurture ourselves and our earth, and slow down so we can live a richer, more fulfilling life. The divine feminine, I believe, will also rescue our planet, returning light and harmony to it. But we have to awaken her within ourselves first. Even the Dalai Lama said, sorry, there goes my doggies. Even the Dalai Lama said, the world will be saved by the Western woman. I flippin' love that quote. Okay, so now we've covered how to embrace and embody our divine feminine. I'm going to speak a little bit more how to awaken the divine masculine within you. But before I jump in, I want to know what takeaways you'll be taking from the ways to embrace and embody your feminine, what you're going to practice from tomorrow going forward, anything that really stood out to you, anything that you're already doing and you found great success with. I really just love to hear you guys' stories. Okay, so how can we start to work on balancing our masculine energies? Now, there are some similar things that we can do that we did for uncovering the feminine side, and obviously a few different ways too. One of the similar things is to examine your wounds surrounding the masculine. So just like we ask ourselves what it means to be feminine, what we believe we have to be like to be feminine, and where that came from, we can ask ourselves the same for the masculine. So this is a time when you can start to really look at male figures in your life, look at male experiences you've had in your life, male energies, but also male, obviously. So things like, have you had supportive male figures in your life? Or have you experienced mostly abusive relationships or connections with men? Or even have you experienced a little bit of both? Examining your wounds will help you to examine any unconscious beliefs, biases, prejudices that you have towards men. Now, these mental and emotional blockages are very revealing and will help you to develop and strengthen a healthy bond with your inner divine masculine. So, write down your experiences and reflect on the themes that arise, such as abandonment, friendship, alienation, love hate, emotional connection, distance, etc. Okay. Number 2, take self-responsibility. And this is what I love about embodying your masculine energy, because he takes control of his life. And I say him, but obviously I'm talking about the energy. So look after yourself, own your actions, take responsibility for your happiness. Don't permit yourself to become a victim who needs to be rescued, okay? We don't want to be a damsel in distress. We have the divine masculine within us, which means we are strong enough and more capable than anyone else to rescue ourselves. Okay, so to awaken the divine masculine, you need to be accountable for your thoughts, your feelings, and your choices. You need to be accountable for your thoughts, your feelings, and your choices. Okay, let that sink in. So this means you cannot blame other people when things go wrong. Such a waste of energy to do that. Respect yourself, be mature, and just reclaim that warrior energy of yours. Okay, now another similar thing that we spoke about with the feminine is to deconstruct your conditioning. What do I mean? I want you to start thinking about what you have been conditioned to believe about what it means to be a man. Okay, so we collectively and individually carry so much baggage when it comes to defining our masculinity. Common forms of conditioning that many of us have received regarding men can include things like men shouldn't cry, men should have a successful career, men should be the head of the household, men must have an interest in all sports, men are the protectors of women and children, men must dominate women physically, sexually, and career-wise. Men are expected to be aggressively self-confident. Men must look strong and have muscles. Okay, so these are some of the conditionings and things that we have been brought up to believe about men and masculinity. So if you can think of any other forms of conditioning that I may have laid out, put in the comments. I'd love to see what popped up for you. But once you have discovered what your culture has taught you about men, you will be more capable of consciously redefining what masculinity means to you. Okay? And this will allow you to develop a healthier relationship with your inner divine masculine. So ask yourself, what does mature and balanced masculinity look like to me? And write that down. Okay. Number 4 is to find a masculine teacher, guide, or figure you admire. So I've spoken about role models before, but just such a beautiful way to find people to look up to learn from, and to just see how certain things should be. So, thankfully, there are some wonderful examples of embodied divine masculine energies out there. There are many teachers alive today, such as Eckhart Tolle, my fave. He wrote The Power of Now and A New Earth, and the Dalai Lama, whose quote I just said a bit earlier. And these guys embody the divine masculine perfectly. Perfection, absolute perfection, okay? There are also deceased teachers from the past, such as Lao Tzu and the Buddha, who also expressed masculine energy in such a mature and beautiful way. So it's important that you learn from these role models, and embody and express your own inner divine masculine. So don't idolize or cut and paste copy them. Use them as inspiration to step more into your divine masculine energies. Like I say, we are all unique and beautiful in our own ways, so we take inspiration from external experiences, people, things, and we live them in a way that is unique to ourselves. Otherwise, we'd all be the same and it would all be so, so boring. Okay. Number 5 is to connect with your inner warrior. Now, the inner warrior is another face or expression of the divine masculine. Did I just say masculine? Masculine. Okay, but please don't mistake what I'm saying for the way that warriors are depicted and portrayed in modern times. So your inner warrior isn't interested in dominating or killing others. Your inner warrior supports and protects you. He takes no bullshit. He will defend your rights peacefully and assertively. He will cut through the lies and see with clarity, and he values truth, courage, and inner strength. So, when you start to bring more of the warrior energy into your life, you are awakening the divine masculine. You are reconnecting to the wholeness deep within yourself. Now, to build a strong connection with this energy, with your inner warrior, you might like to explore the look and feel of your own inner warrior. So how can we do this? Start to ask yourself questions, and you're going to have to do a bit of visualizations with this, because you obviously can't pull the divine masculine out of you and have a conversation with him. But start to ask your inner warrior questions like, what is his personality like? What does he enjoy doing? When does he already appear in your life? And in what areas could you benefit more from his presence? I'm sure there are a lot of areas. Most of us can benefit from having more of our inner warrior show themselves. So examples of ways to connect with your inner warrior include practicing martial arts, boxing, vigorous exercise, guided visualizations, becoming an activist, yang yoga, artistic self-expressions, and the list goes on and on. So Google ways that you can find your inner warrior and do the ones that resonate with you. Mine is boxing. I love boxing. I feel so empowered. I feel so strong and independent and confident when I'm boxing. And I take that out with me into the real world. So find something that works for you and do it. Number 6 is to be assertive and stick up for yourself. Now, being assertive is not about being angry or confrontational at all. And it's also not about throwing yourself into another person's face. To be assertive is to respect yourself and your needs. So if you're quiet or an introvert like me, it is very likely that you struggle with assertiveness. So one of the best ways of being assertive that I found is to define your needs. So ask yourself, what need is not being met? And how do you feel when your boundaries are being overstepped? Assertiveness requires courage. This is where the inner warrior comes in. So it's important to take little steps, okay? And above all, always remember that your needs and opinions are just as valid as anyone else's. Okay, number 7, stand in a confident way. This is going to sound so silly, but I want you guys to actually do this with me, because our body language has such a powerful impact on how we feel. So I want you to try this experiment with me for a second. You can stand up. I'm not going to stand up, obviously, because I won't be in the frame. But I want you to start off by letting your shoulders hunch forward, hunch over, cross your arms in front of your body. Just sit like this and let me know how you feel. How do you feel? Put in the comments. Okay, now I want you to straighten your back and shoulders. Put your hands on your hips. And let your chest be exposed so that you're almost standing in an I shape. Okay? If you're standing up, like stand tall, stand Tadasana vibes if you do yoga. And really just see how you feel now that you've changed your body language, your body position. I'm sure if you have done this with me, you can completely feel the difference. When you're hunched over in this, you feel intimidated and you don't feel confident. You feel just closed in. Whereas when you change your body language and stand up, you feel confident, you feel courageous, you feel ready to take on the world. So body language is so important. And although it might be comfortable and foreign at first, improving your posture will actually help you to send the unconscious signal to your brain that you are confident, you are calm, you are secure in yourself. So this is such an amazing and simple way to just get in touch with your divine masculine side. Use this going forward. I promise you it works. If you're feeling in a situation where someone is maybe intimidating you or just making you not feel valued, stand up like this. See what comes out next. Okay, Then number 8 is to stop being passive and start being active. Like I said in the beginning, the masculine energy is do, 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 and the feminine is be, be, be. So we need a balance of both. But to be the instigator, the initiator, and the giver within your relationships and your life in general, you need to take the initiative to get out of your own way and start to set goals, to make plans, to work towards all that you dream about. Don't let passivity don't let passivity make you apathetic and lazy. Feed your inner fire and do something with it. Sorry, I can hear my dogs scratching on the doors. Okay, we are running almost at an hour. I promise, guys, I'm almost done. We've got 3 more. Number 9 is to take risks with confidence. So the divine masculine doesn't shy away from a little risk. So if you're someone who has a lot of great ideas, but you're afraid to put them out into the world, your divine masculine qualities are necessary to make your vision a reality and meet your goals. So you need to be willing to take risks, to hope for the best, but remain unattached to the outcome. What is meant to be will be. So just trust that things will work out as they should and just go for it. Okay? And this leads me to number 10, less internalization, more action. So along with taking risks and starting where you are, it is important to start recognizing when you're keeping a lot of ideas internal and wanting to perfect them before putting them out into the world. I get you, I've been there. Don't want to put it out until it's perfect, but nothing will ever be perfect. Done is better than perfect, okay? So start taking action on those ideas and putting them out into the world. I promise you now, I have always felt that I need to perfect something before I let it out. But like I always say as well, we are our own biggest critics. So the things that we think people will notice and stuff that we are putting out there as mistakes or errors or not good enough are the things that people are not going to notice. If you do things with true authenticity, with true love and passion, people are going to see that. They're not going to see what you think is imperfect or your errors or whatever. Okay, so we've gone through everything. We've discussed feminine energies. We've discussed masculine energies, why we're so disconnected from them, why we need a balance, how to recognize toxic femininity and masculinity, and then ways to balance and embody and embrace our feminine and masculine energies. That is all that I have for you today. I really hope you guys learned something new, took something away. If you are watching the replay, feel free to comment as well. Sorry, I should have actually said this in the beginning, but I do normally in all the things. And obviously, if you're watching live now, let me know what your biggest takeaway was, what you learned, what you knew, what you didn't know. I just love to see where you guys are getting value, how you guys are getting value, and things that you're learning. And it's also just nice to connect with you guys. So let me know in the comments all of these things that I just asked you. And yeah, if you have any questions, like I said in the beginning, and I might have missed your comments or your questions, send me a DM on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever, or an email, whatever. I'm always happy to help you. But I'm going to stop taking up much more of your Tuesday evening. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I love doing these workshops. I will be posting the link to the 21-day self-love program in the group a little bit later. So if that is something that you feel like would benefit you, then please sign up. It is the last time I'm ever doing this program, because I am creating new programs, new things, and I just need the space for that in my business. But it is a phenomenal program. I've had ladies completely change their lives around from this course, and it's only $21. So if it interests you, I will put the link later and you can register. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I love you all so much. I'm sending you all the love and all the light, and I hope you have a beautiful evening.